Commander Drax Valeran slumped in his command chair, nursing what humans would call a glass of whiskey. Not that he'd ever admit to adopting one of their barbaric customs. No, this was medicinal nerve tonic. The fact that it burned like reactor fuel going down was merely therapeutic. Status report, he mumbled to the ship's AI. "We have cleared the solar system with 17 functioning vessels, Commander," the emotionless voice responded. A casualty rate, 99.83%. Drax laughed. Not the pleasant kind of laugh that indicated joy, but the broken, hollow kind that suggested imminent psychotic breakdown. 17 ships. 17. Out of 9,900. He hurled the glass across the bridge, watching with satisfaction as it shattered against a navigation console. The greatest armada in the history of the Galactic Confederation, and what do we have to show for it? A handful of limping vessels filled with traumatized survivors who'll never sleep soundly again. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Nara Krell, approached cautiously. Her left antenna was missing, and burn marks scarred the right side of her face. Like everyone else aboard, she'd aged decades in mere weeks. "The Council expects your full report within the next rotation cycle, sir." "Oh, I bet they do." Drax stood suddenly, gesturing wildly. "What should I tell them? That their intelligence was catastrophically wrong? That humans aren't the primitive apes we thought they were? That they don't, in fact, roll over and surrender when faced with superior technology?" Nara remained silent, having learned that rhetorical questions were best left unanswered when the commander was in one of his moods. 9,900 ships, he repeated, shaking his head. 67 million of our finest warriors, the pride of 7 star systems, and the humans. He paused, staring into the void of space through the viewport. The humans treated our invasion like it was some kind of entertaining diversion, like we were an inconvenience rather than an existential threat. He slumped back into his chair. "Prepare the quantum communicator. The Council should know exactly what we found on that watery blue death trap, and why they should never, ever send another ship back there again." The quantum recorder whirred to life, capturing Drax's official testimony for the Council archives. He cleared his throat, trying to sound more professional than he felt. "Pre-invasion intelligence briefing, standard cycle 7842.3, he began. High Council Chamber, Central Spire, Dominar Prime. The memory was still fresh, despite everything that had happened since. The massive holographic table displaying Earth in all its blue-green mediocrity. The smug faces of the Council members, already dividing up resources they hadn't yet conquered. Grand Strategist Pelax was particularly confident, Drax continued, allowing just a touch of bitterness to creep into his voice. I quote, "Earth represents the least challenging conquest in the Orion Spur. Their weapons are primitive chemical propellants. Their communications rely on electromagnetic radiation. They still burn fossil fuels. And best of all, they're hopelessly divided into competing nation-states." Drax paused, taking another swig of medicinal tonic directly from the bottle this time. The intelligence briefing included 4,219 pages of detailed analysis. Projected casualties, under 0.01%. Projected time frame for complete planetary subjugation, 7 standard days. He laughed, that broken laugh again. They devoted more pages to resource extraction protocols than to combat strategies. Lieutenant Krell interjected from across the bridge. "Tell them about the weapons allocation, sir." "Ah, yes, the weapons." Drax rolled his eyes dramatically. Standard peacekeeping loadout. Mostly non-lethal suppression technology. Paralytic gas canisters, sonic disruptors, mass containment fields. After all, why damage potential labor resources? We wouldn't want to harm our future servants too badly, would we? He took another drink, longer this time. "I was given command of the third wave. Our job was primarily administrative, setting up regional government centers after the first and second waves had already secured major population centers. My ships carried more bureaucrats than warriors. Drax stared into the middle distance, remembering his own prideful anticipation. I had already selected a pleasant-looking region called New Zealand for my personal estate. The intelligence report said it had excellent vistas and docile native fauna, perfect for a retirement posting after a successful campaign. He glanced at the star chart, Earth now dozens of light years behind them. The Council gave me exactly 3 paragraphs of contingency planning. 3. The document literally stated, human resistance will be symbolic at most. Their most effective weapons cannot penetrate standard hull plating. Drax's voice dropped to a whisper. If only they had been right. Our arrival in the Earth system went precisely according to protocol, Drax narrated, now pacing the bridge as the recorder followed his movements. We materialized beyond their outer planet, Neptune. Beautiful gas giant, by the way. Would make an excellent fuel harvesting station if anyone ever returns, which they won't. He pointed to a holographic display showing the initial formation of their massive fleet. Standard invasion spread. 9,900 ships arranged in the Dominar Spear formation. We moved in system at sublight speed, taking exactly 16 hours to reach Earth orbit. The humans detected a U.S. crossing Jupiter's orbital path. Their primitive sensors lit up like festival lights. Drax paused, almost smiling at what came next. The first broadcast we received was not, as expected, from their planetary government. It was from something called NASA, and I quote, unknown craft, you are about to enter restricted aerospace. Identify yourselves immediately or face the consequences. Well, the consequences? Drax barked with laughter. As if they could possibly have consequences for us. He gestured expansively, knocking over an empty bottle. The first wave deployed precisely on schedule. 5,000 ships taking up position around their major cities. We knocked out their satellite network with a single electronic pulse. As their internet collapsed. Their power grids went dark. Commander Drax of the first wave sent the standard, surrender demand to all broadcast frequencies. The response time window came and went. No surrender. Drax's manic energy suddenly deflated. That should have been our first warning. But no, we proceeded to Phase 2. Atmospheric craft deployed. Show of force operations commenced over major population centers. Eerie standard stuff. He stopped pacing, his face darkening. The humans let us complete our entire deployment. They waited until every ship was exactly where we wanted them to be. Then they showed us what we were really dealing with. Drax's voice dropped to a haunted whisper. They had weaponized their entire orbital field. Thousands of what appeared to be debris pieces suddenly activated propulsion systems. Primitive, yes, but effective when packed with explosives and accelerated to impact velocities. The first wave lost 212 ships in the initial minutes. He turned to face the recorder directly. But that wasn't the truly surprising part. We expected some resistance, after all. No, the surprising part was when they hacked our communication network. 6 minutes after hostilities commenced, every screen on every ship displayed the same message, "Welcome to Earth. We've been expecting you." Drax shuddered visibly. They knew we were coming. Somehow they knew. And they were ready. The next 12 hours Drax paused, pouring himself another drink with trembling hands. The next 12 hours defied every strategic simulation in our database. He pulled up a series of battle footage clips on the main view screen. Each showed scenes more chaotic than the last. The humans should have been paralyzed with fear. They should have been running in circles, screaming, easy targets for our containment teams. Instead, they responded with he struggled for the right words, with almost gleeful coordination. The footage showed civilians helping each other into underground shelters with practiced efficiency. military units deploying with startling speed. And most disturbingly, regular humans picking up weapons and joining the fight. Our jamming systems failed within the first hour. Somehow, the humans had developed quantum-resilient communication networks that our technology couldn't touch. We later discovered they were using something laughably primitive. They called it mesh networking. Nothing special about it technologically, but they had built redundancies upon redundancies. Drax's expression soured further. Then there were the power grid shutdowns we initiated. Standard protocol, plunge them into darkness, increase panic. Except major human facilities immediately switched to backup power systems. And not just their military bases. Hospitals, water treatment plants, even shopping centers had independent generators. Who does that? Who prepares civilian infrastructure for planetary invasion? He gestured wildly at more footage showing humans adapting in real time. The first wave called in the second for immediate support. That's when things got truly ridiculous. The humans started using our own communication protocols against us. They broadcasted false retreat orders. They sent fake distress signals that lured our ships into ambushes. 300 ships were destroyed because someone named Rick Astley apparently was never going to give us up or let us down. Lieutenant Krell cleared her throat. The Rickroll incident, sir. Perhaps not essential for the official record. Drax waved her off irritably. The Council needs to understand everything. Every humiliating detail. He pulled up more tactical displays. By hour 18, we had lost over 2,000 ships. 2,000. The humans were targeting our command vessels with uncanny accuracy. They had identified our fleet structure and command hierarchy faster than any species we've ever encountered. The display shifted to show a human news broadcast, somehow intercepted during the battle. And then there was this. Drax pointed accusingly. They were reporting on the invasion as it happened. Their news network showed real-time battle information. They interviewed military experts who explained our tactics to their population. They were treating it like some kind of sporting event. The footage showed a human reporter ducking as debris fell nearby, but continuing her broadcast without missing a beat. And look at this human. She's in an active combat zone, projectiles flying overhead, and she's smiling. She concludes her report by saying, and I quote, "Back to you, Tom. I'd stay to chat, but I've got some aliens to welcome to Earth." Then she picks up a weapon and joins the fight. Drax collapsed back into his chair. By the end of the first day, we had lost a quarter of our fleet, our communication systems were compromised, and our tactical advantage was evaporating. And the humans? They were just getting started. The Terran defense above the Pacific Ocean marked the definitive turning point, Drax said, his voice now hollow as he called up the tactical display. We had regrouped, adjusted our strategy, and committed over 4,000 ships to what should have been an overwhelming force. The holographic display showed the massive fleet converging over Earth's largest ocean. The strategy was sound. Hit them where population density was lowest. Establish a foothold. Use the ocean for cover and resource extraction. Basic invasion manual stuff, really. He zoomed in on the simulation, showing the initial engagement. Our sensors detected their naval vessel's primitive watercraft really converging on our position. We thought they were sacrificial units, decoys. We even laughed about it in the command center. Look at the humans, sending boats against spaceships. Fools. We were the fools. Drax's expression darkened. Those primitive watercraft were launching what appeared to be standard missiles. Nothing special. Easily intercepted by our defense systems. Except he paused dramatically. Except they weren't aiming for our ships. They were targeting the water. The display showed massive explosions beneath the ocean's surface. They created artificial tsunamis. Tsunamis, who weaponizes their own planet. The water displacement knocked hundreds of our low-altitude craft into each other. and that was just the beginning. Drax's voice became increasingly agitated. While we were dealing with the tsunamis, their aircraft, and these were not advanced craft, mind you, just metal tubes with wings, these aircraft began dropping what we thought were conventional bombs. They weren't. They were EMP devices specifically calibrated to our shield frequencies. He slammed his fist on the console. That's when the command structure fractured. Supreme Commander Drax ordered a full orbital retreat. Admiral Zorix countermanded, insisting we push forward. Commander Pulak of the 6th Brigade declared he was invoking emergency protocols and withdrew his entire division without authorization. The display showed the once orderly fleet dissolving into chaos. 3,742 ships lost in 6 hours. 6 hours. And throughout it all, human communication channels were broadcasting music. Something called Ride of the Valkyries and Fortunate Son, like it was all some elaborate performance. Drax's eyes narrowed. That's when we finally understood what we were truly facing, a species that not only adapted to warfare but seemed to thrive on it. The worse things got, the more creative they became. They used their environment not as something to protect but as a weapon itself. Mountains, oceans, atmosphere, everything was a potential tactical advantage. After the Pacific debacle, as it's now known, Supreme High Commander Vorlex took direct control of all remaining forces. Drax continued, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. The Council authorized deployment of restricted technologies, things we've never used in any previous conquest. He brought up schematics of sleek, menacing devices. Atmospheric disruptors, seismic destabilizers, genetic targeting drones, technology so advanced that most conquered species don't discover its principles for millennia after joining the Confederation. Drax laughed bitterly. We deployed the first disruptors over a region called Australia. The device creates localized weather patterns of incredible destructive force, hurricane-level winds, targeted lightning strikes, hailstones the size of transport pods. The humans should have been devastated. He pulled up footage of the aftermath. 26 hours later, we were devastated instead. Somehow, and our technical division still cannot explain how the humans had not only neutralized the disruptor, but had replicated aspects of its technology. The footage showed human aircraft equipped with crude but functional versions of Confederation tech. They called it rapid prototype iteration. We called it impossible. Elements of our weather control technology were now being used against us. A human military unit designated U.S. Air Force had managed to reverse engineer components from a damaged disruptor and integrate them into their weapons systems within a single planetary rotation. Drax's voice trembled with a mixture of fear and reluctant admiration. The final straw came when our command encryption was broken, our quantum encryption, broken by a species that still uses silicon-based computing. They shouldn't have been able to manage it with 1,000 years of dedicated effort. They did it in 3 days. He pulled up one final piece of footage, a human transmission that had been broadcast to every ship in the fleet simultaneously. This human, apparently a high-ranking military strategist named General Tanya Morgan, addressed us directly. She said, and I'll never forget these words. We appreciate the generous technology donation. We've made some improvements you might want to see. And then she demonstrated weapons that combined Confederation tech with human ingenuity in ways our scientists had never imagined. Drax's mandibles clicked nervously. That was when the fear truly set in. Not just for me, but for every commander in the fleet. We weren't facing primitives. We were facing something much, much worse, fast learners with a gift for improvisation and an alarming enthusiasm for warfare. Final stand. The Council refused to accept defeat, Drax said, staring vacantly at the star chart. Supreme High Commander Vorlex was relieved of duty. His replacement, War Master Drakon, ordered all remaining ships to converge on the human lunar base. If we cannot have Earth, he declared, We will deny them their satellite and establish a blockade." Drax shook his head slowly. We had just over 2,000 ships remaining, still a formidable force by any standard. Our new strategy was to bombard their moon base from a distance, forcing the humans to commit their remaining defenses to protect it. Then we would strike Earth while their forces were divided. He pulled up the battle schematic, showing the fleet's formation around Earth's moon. The attack started well. Our energy weapons carved massive craters into the lunar surface. The human base there appeared to be largely evacuated. We thought, finally we were winning a round in this absurd conflict. Drax's laugh now had an edge of hysteria. That's when they sprung the trap. The lunar surface opened. The massive bay doors we hadn't detected revealed underground hangars. Hundreds of vessels emerged, not just human designs, but ships that incorporated our own technology, crudely replicated but undeniably effective. He showed footage of the shocking revelation. While we'd been fighting their Earth forces, they'd been building an entirely separate fleet on their moon, hidden from our sensors. And that wasn't even the worst part. Drax zoomed in on a particular section of footage. Those aren't human pilots. Look at them. Look at them. The ships were piloted by artificial intelligences. The humans had created sentient combat AIs and integrated them with our stolen technology. His voice dropped to a horrified whisper. War Master Draken ordered a frontal assault. "They're just machines," he said. "Machines can be defeated." Those were his last words before his command ship was vaporized by weapons that, by all scientific understanding, the humans shouldn't have been able to develop for at least 3 centuries. Drax gestured weakly at the final battle statistics. 1,746 ships destroyed in under 2 hours. Complete tactical collapse. No command structure remaining. Every captain fighting independently, desperately. He stared directly into the recorder. I gave the retreat order. Not officially, there was no official hierarchy left. But ship by ship, the survivors acknowledged and began the long, humiliating journey home. Some captains refused, choosing suicide runs instead. They were efficiently dispatched. Drax's face set in a grim expression. As we broke orbit, the humans broadcast one final message: "Thanks for the visit. Don't come back without calling first." They were joking about it. All that death, all that destruction, and they were joking. Drax straightened his uniform, brushed back his crest, and faced the quantum communicator. The High Council would receive his transmission in approximately 6 minutes. He cleared his throat and activated the recorder. Esteemed members of the High Council, I, Commander Drax Valeran, submit the final report on Operation Earth Acquisition. He paused, wondering if career suicide was preferable to the humiliation of what he must say next. The operation was a catastrophic failure. Of 9,900 ships deployed, 17 have returned. The humans are not, I repeat, not the primitive species our intelligence suggested. They are, he searched for the right words. They are creative, adaptable, ruthless, and most disturbingly, they appear to genuinely enjoy warfare. Drax steeled himself for the final recommendations. I formally recommend that Earth be classified as a Class X prohibited system with the following warning: this species does not fight to survive. They fight to win, and they learn at a rate that defies all known cognitive models. He allowed himself a grim smile. Furthermore, I strongly advise that we destroy all records of Earth's location in the galaxy. If the humans decide to pursue us rather than merely defend their world, I believe the Confederation itself could be at risk. Drax reached for the disconnect button, then paused for one final thought. As for my personal recommendation, if you value your multiple appendages and respiratory organs, stay away from the blue planet. I'd rather clean waste recyclers on Tartarus IV for the next millennium than spend another minute near Earth. Drax Valeran, signing off. Forever.